So, welcome back. This is the third session of January. And as we are talking about identifying the void behind the desires and then resolving it, finding ways to overcome it so that our goals, our desires come from our inner voice, something that is in alignment with our purpose or with our soul plan. Yeah. So last week we did a process and we saw how to identify if your desire is coming from a void. Is there a void or not? So whatever you have identified so far, now is the time to find ways to overcome it. Right? So we want to share different ways to overcome a void. And there are going to be primarily two ways. One is some self-help technique, self-healing way, and another method is seeking a professional help. Yeah. So primarily you may want to sit with yourself and want to look at your void and work on it in your own way. So there are different self-help techniques or self-healing techniques which you might be acquainted with, and you can use that, such as EFT or Reiki or any other energy healing method that you practice for yourself. And that is going to be the beginning of it. That is going to be, sitting with it, taking some time every day to be with that feeling. So I think the first and the foremost thing is, if you go back to the last week's exercise, you have identified one feeling in the void. Somebody had anxiety, somebody had fear, somebody had sadness or hurt, whatever it is. So, a characteristic thing about void is we want to avoid it because it is painful, right? That part in us who has felt it unbearably painful will not want to go there. So, the first thing that you need is a very good determination, a strong determination to be consistent, to be willing to sit with that feeling every day. Because when you take any technique in your self healing practice, you will have to experience that feeling first. You will have to sit with it. You will have to know how much of the uh, feeling is there. What is, how much is the grip of that feeling on you? Yeah. And you'll have to be really very honest with yourself. Because usually, when it is something so painful where I don't want to go, my mind is trained to tell me a different story that now it is not so much there. Today I'm not feeling it. It's not coming out of a wrong thing. The mind is simply trying to protect me because for my coping mechanism, it is a danger from which it has to save me. So the mind will create stories. You might feel now it is gone, you know, or it is there, but now because I'm aware, I know that my action plan is not going to come from the void at all. Whatever kind of stories your mind creates, you will have to be patient enough to acknowledge all of it and still say that there is a chance, a probability that you still have the void in the background, especially if you have lot of attachment with the outcome. That's what we saw last week, right? Yes, Priya, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just have a suggestion. I just want. So when we talk of self-help techniques, and we spoke at length in the last webinar of how your mind tries to protect you from the pain. So this avoidance is also a very mental thing. Okay. So it will be useful if you take up a practice where you get connected to your body. So whether it is EFT or whether it is breathing or whether it is Reiki, if you stay connected to your body, your mind, um, the intervention of your mind will be lesser. So you'll stay connected to your emotions and your body more than the mind. So even if your mind says, "Oh, it's over and it's gone, and I'm not operating from void. Oh, it's my inner voice," but your body will speak the truth. So that helps, right? And that will help you distinguish also that
Yeah.
even though my mind is trying to trick me, or rather help me to not go to a painful situation, my body is still speaking the truth. Or my feeling, and in such situations, maybe the feeling also will get tricked because you will not feel it. Your mind will not allow you to feel it only. You'll get disconnected from the emotion only completely. It might get so suppressed because the need for the outcome is so much, but your body will never lie. So it will be useful to take up something which is connected to your body. Even a simple pranayam will help, or a walk, or any kind of something where you stay connected to your body. Yeah, so that's the only thing I had to
Yeah.
add.
Yeah, that helps. And then maybe, like, if your body is also not showing that feeling, then how to know? Then sit and think about the outcome. Are you okay if the outcome does not happen the way you want? The question that we answered last week, that the good feeling that you have associated with the outcome, is it okay for you to have that feeling without the outcome? Yeah. So, more the attachment with the outcome, you will know that there is something underneath that. If that shows in your body, very well and good. You can use that. You can use that sensation in the body. You can use that feeling and then continue to practice EFT for 21 days or Reiki for 21 days or any breathing technique. So 21 days is simplified. Reason behind that is whenever we do something for 21 days, becomes part of our habit. So if we want to start breaking the cycle, minimum is 21 days. So whatever practice you want to take on, you need to plan it accordingly. So in this time, you will be able to work on it by yourself, and you will have to measure the grip of your void or that feeling in your void on you. How much of your fear has reduced or has it gone away fully? Do you need multiple rounds of this self help technique after 21 days? So, all these things you need to plan out properly. So, now we are
Uh,
not going to talk about many self help techniques because I think in last 1 year we have learned a few of them. So,
yeah,
you are pretty much acquainted with different ways. Yeah, Priya.
sorry, I
No,
didn't
no.
mean to intervene, but um, this is my personal observation, and you might choose not to take it at all. Is if your void is coming out of something like a fear, there is a possibility that your body and your energies will not even take you there, because fear is a very very tricky emotion to deal with. We have done it in one of our webinars, the difficult emotions that one has to deal with. So fear is something, the first response to fear is either fight, flight, or freeze, or you fawn as though it's gone, oh, it's not there. So I feel that that's the most tricky emotion to deal with when it comes to, if your void is
Mhm.
coming out of fear, fear of failure. So these are things which are, in typical therapeutic language, we call it's recursive, meaning the fear of failure will take you into another loop of fear that maybe even this will not work. So these are places where you need to notice and maybe seek a little more help, or professional help is absolutely required, because it is very difficult to analyze your own game when you're playing it, especially when in such kind of situations. So you cannot coach yourself when you're actually facing a ball. It's like that. You will need a third person to help you through that. Of course, Gayatri, you might really add as to how we can decide, how a person can decide whether they can, work on this by themselves or do you need professional help, which I'm sure that's what you're coming to.
Yeah. But before that, in fact, you can do one thing right now. When we are talking about this, we are discussing void, the pain which your mind wants to avoid. Your body must be showing you something. Something must be happening in your body. Some sensation which you can notice that either the rhythm of your breath has changed, it has become shallow or heavy or something, some discomfort in the body. In fact, you might even experience some pleasant sensation because a part of you is open for identifying. Liking that you are identifying, you are taking a step towards overcoming the void, and that part is finding it nice. So, any of this you should notice and make a note for yourself, because when you sit with yourself, all these observations will help you. Yeah. And now, coming back to when you do the self help, which are the points that you notice that tells you whether you need professional help or not? So, one of the things that Priya said, that sometimes the feeling will not even show in the body. Yeah. Or you might recognize that your feeling itself is recursive. So, you feel that the problem continues because it is difficult for you to solve it. Yeah. Confusion. Oh, I'm so confused, I'm not sure what to do. So when I'm not sure about my confusion, what can I do about it? So it is a recursive thing again. So any of such things where you feel you're going in loops or you're going round and round around the same thing, then you know that because you are yourself in the problem, it is difficult for you to view it from a neutral perspective. And at such point, it will help you if you go and seek profession. That's one indication. Another indication, let's say you have very good determination. You have figured out your void very well, and you have taken on one practice for 21 days and you're doing it. You did it for 1 week, 10 days, and then you fall back. Then you again try, you again fall back. So you feel that you are not able to complete the cycle of 21 days. So something is there which is not letting you complete your task. Yeah. Or on the way, you feel that now it is done. Either you start feeling bored because it is redundant, you're not seeing a big shift. Because one of the things with self help is it will do a very small, gradual shift. And that too, I think nobody who has a inclination towards self work will recommend the self work fully. Like it can't be compared with the therapeutic help, because the neutral view is missing there. It is very difficult for oneself to catch themselves when they are in the problem. So because of that, you might start entertaining different kinds of dialogues, that what we said earlier. Either you feel it is gone, or you feel this is not working. Now I don't feel like working on this at all. So any of the distractions or inconsistency is again an indication that you want to do it, but you are not able to reach the end point. Then it is an indication that you should seek professional. You can use a support system of talking to each other also. because at times we can see for someone else easily, but not for us. Yeah. So these are the broad indications where you need to go and look at the void with the help of a professional therapist or a healer. From therapy point of view, how it works, Priya, would you like to share that? Why therapy would help, or where exactly it will work on?
Yeah. Before that, I have one more thing to add. When you're doing self-help, is there are chances that a person might be really, really consistent with their self-help, but while doing the process or while doing whatever technique that they're taking up, whether it's EFT or Reiki or anything, simple affirmations or breath work, it's just a mental practice. They're just doing it because it needs to get done. Now, how will you know whether you're actually involved in awareness or you're just doing it as a practice? That, oh, I just finished a tick mark in my, you know, uh, daily calendar. How will you know? So we say any kind of healing that you go through will show some shift. It could be a positive shift, it could be a negative shift, it could be anything. Something is moving in your energy system, right? Even when we give Reiki to someone, we say something is moving. So there will be shifts. Does that mean that if there are no shifts, you're doing it mentally? No. But these are pointers. So a person will know from within. Am I doing it as a mundane activity? Or am I actually involved in the process and healing in such a way that I'm getting insights? I've actually started feeling better, worse, something is happening in my body. So that connectedness is important, even if it's a 5 minute, even if it is just for 5 minutes in a day. Just stay connected to the purpose of doing what you're doing. Okay. So that's a small disclaimer. Like one might think, oh, we are getting into so many details. Acha, I have to take care of this also and that also. The point is not that. The point is why you're doing the 21-day practice.
Mm.
Because at the end of 21 days, all of us want results in a particular way, no? Right? So just be mindful of your practice. Might not happen every day. But the days that you're not mindful, at least say, okay, I'm not mindful today. I'm just doing it like a mundane activity. Even that is being mindful. Yeah. Also, we are sharing this out of our own personal experiences. There could be many, many more things that could happen, like it happened in the previous guided meditation process that we did. There were certain things that we didn't even expect would happen, and that happened. So we welcome uh, experiences which are different from what we are sharing. What we are sharing is through personal experiences only, purely. Yeah. And coming to what Gayatri or the other way that Gayatri was sharing about, how do you deal with a void in a therapeutic practice? So when you meet your therapist,
Hello?
yeah,
Please carry.
when you meet your therapist and you have identified and you say that this is happening, now there could be various ways for the therapist to work depending on their area of expertise. So we are not even going there. We'll get into what happens in a therapy session most times. So this void is coming out of an experience that has happened. Either the void is running in the family or it is running through a personal experience of your own. And there is a painful, very, very painful emotion below it, which your mind is not at all ready to even look at. That's when you've reached a therapist. Or the pain of that emotion is so big that being you are not able to find the resource to handle that painful emotion. That's why you've reached professional help, right? Now, this may require, or looking at that emotion and breaking down the coping mechanism may require one session or multiple sessions depending on what modality is being used. How is your body and your environment, um, you know, uh, kind of accepting the therapy? What is your willingness to look at that painful emotion? And when I say willingness, I'm not talking of conscious willingness. Conscious willingness is there. That's exactly why you've reached professional help. I'm talking of unconsciously or subconsciously. Are you able to feel resourceful enough to process those emotions? And then, of course, in between any two therapy sessions, if there is more than one therapy, there will be certain kind of homework which will be given. And slowly, this void and this emotion can be processed. The coping will come down. The learning behind that entire experience will come up. And that is the resource that we are talking of, or which we spoke of in the first session, where we said behind a void, there is a big resource for all of us, right? So when the Pandora's box opens and everything is out, you will find those, treasure below it. And the purpose of all those therapeutic sessions is to reach that treasure which is inside of you, which is a resource, which is there. How long will it take? All these questions will depend on the dynamic between the therapist and the client space. So, yeah, Gayatri, is there something else that you would like to add on this about what happens and how is avoid addressed?
No, I think this sums up pretty much everything. Uh, but why we are sharing this today is because when in the next week we complete this month's theme, before that you start working on your void. And by the time we meet in next month, where remember the purpose of this month's topic, we do conscious reflection such that our goals or desires shift from void to inner voice. And with that awareness, you start creating goals for yourself, which are aligned with your path, which are aligned with your core values. Your value can also mean a limited thing here, because in my understanding, value still comes from personality, but the soul will have its own core texture. So once you reach there, you will not only have the goals and desires which are in alignment with your plan, but you will start tapping into those resources which flow naturally to you. So next week, we actually want to share about how to identify when you have uh, tapped into your inner voice, right? So before that, you should start. I don't want to say should, we invite you to do that. But if you start working on your void, you will reach there, and now you have both the ways to test your desire. Which part of your desire or goal is coming from void, which is coming from the inner voice, core voice. So if you start doing this in the next 3 weeks, you will be able to create a space for yourself, at least begin that space, the creation of that space where your goals can come from your soul alignment. You can stand in your zone of abundance. The things, the abilities which flow naturally to you can be utilized in the direction of your life plan. So that's the reason I think we are emphasizing on working on the void in your own way, or a highly recommended way, taking a professional help, because that will really set you on that line. It is a journey, it is not going to get completed in a week's time, 2 3 weeks time maybe. But when you open that, you are going towards getting the resources back which you originally have and you have lost them. So from there, I think we we want you to start, you know setting your plan of action for working on your void. Yeah, Priya, that's it for today. So then let's start with the discussion.